You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
It's January, and horse sport is in full swing. Whether or not you're in sunny Florida or just dreaming about it, we've got all the updates. As you gear up for your own riding season, we've got somebody who can help visualize your goals. Thanks for tuning in.
From Heels Down Mag, a podcast where horse pros chat about what's happening in the horse world over drinks. Welcome to Happy Hour.
I'm Justine Griffin.
I'm Jessica Payne.
And I'm Ellie Woznicka. Welcome to episode 132 of Heels Down Happy Hour.
Hey, guys.
Happy New Year. I haven't been able to say it to you guys.
I know.
That's crazy. And it's like already almost the end of January.
I know. It's nuts.
So are you all freezing? Because it's currently snowing in Florida as we speak.
So iguanas falling? That's what my sister told me.
Yes, because she's down south. She's in the Keys, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that is a very specific South Florida thing. Like when it gets like under 40s, generally they will fall out of trees and stuff.
Oh no.
That is actually the funniest thing I've ever heard.
It's like, one of those great Florida, like as a journalist, like I get to write the
Florida-isms.
falling tree story. Like, when you're young, like that was cool to do. But every year, yeah. And
it's like the new thing now.
Because they don't get hurt. Like they don't die or anything, right? They're just like,
they're just
they're just so cold. They're
stunned.
like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they'll like fall out of trees and kind of lay shrivel. But no, they warm back up and they're good because obviously
it doesn't
they're
actually
cold-blooded.
get to freezing. Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're only in South Florida. So like the Keys, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Wellington, those communities like Naples. But then when you go by the time you get to Ocala, it's too cold for them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So they really want to like my 2 degrees. I think it's supposed to be only -3 tonight. So that's not bad.
God.
Oh my goodness. What's the lowest you've had so far?
-7.
Oh, I think Doug was saying how much of a weenie I was. I was like, it's so cold. He's like, you have to walk from the house to your car to drive them to school. Like,
that sounds
it's
pretty
not
cold. Yeah.
that cold. And I was like, it's still kind of cold. Like, I'm bundled up.
Okay. I'm 2 weeks home from a ski vacation and I wore my ski clothes to the barn today. Okay. So
Well, that's it. So you're used to it when you're like, go skiing. You're like all for it. Like, I never am that cold. But when I'm at the house, I'm like, no, this isn't like Colorado. It's not supposed to be that cold. Even though it's like not even that cold, but it is like damp cold.
I hate that Northeast damp, wet cold. Like, because it's just been raining, it's the worst. I hate it. So, Ellie, I mean, you were telling me your horses aren't even in blankets yet, right? That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm trying something new this year. I tried to kind of wean them last year, but yeah, so I haven't blanketed them at all this year. I mean, my barn, like they're locked in the barn, obviously, because just with the ice and stuff, I'm like, yeah, it needs to warm up a bit. But it stays about like 20 degrees in there, which is surprising considering I leave all the like windows open and stuff. But I do shut them at night just for like water freezing purposes, because I'm like, let's not
borderline. Yeah,
make sure you can actually drink at night. That would be good.
Absolutely.
But no, like they all grew in really good coats this year, and it's been so inconsistent. So I haven't actually blanketed them, and I'm hoping that this won't stick around so I don't have to keep them in it. I mean, granted, they're not in the wind chill, right?
And they've got their coats puff up and everything. So they seem to be handling it. That's great.
Yeah, no, they all have like a good like 2 inches. Like, I mean, they don't look show ready by any means. Like they've all
That's
got,
okay.
Like, they're like goatees, and I mean I did shave Berkeley's leg mullets again. So I feel bad. He's probably got some cold fetlocks right now, but a blanket wouldn't help that anyway. So.
No, exactly. He's going to be fine.
Oh, you would laugh at my very cold thoroughbred in Florida wearing his heavy blanket tonight. So,
I mean,
my weenies are in like 3 blankets. Oh my goodness. They're in necks. I mean, we joke about how many grams are in, and it's probably excessive, but like they're cold and they're shut up in the barn. Same thing. I mean, and we do have double ventilation and stuff. So, but like they're shut up. The whole barn's full, and they are clipped and everything. And so that most of them are in like a proper kind of thicker liner and like a heavy with a neck.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, but it's snowing where you're at.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not
they're
normal.
cold weenies now. Exactly.
I mean, and that's the thing, right? That I think people forget is like every horse is different.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know? Like I've got a horse in my barn, the Border, that's literally 30 years old, Appaloosa, and you'd think he would get cold. Nope. He's probably the warmest out of all of them.
You have to just kind of play with it and see how cold they are.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, and the biggest thing is like having hay in front of them.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
And water.
Yes. Yeah, that too.
Obviously.
Well, this episode is brought to you by EcoGold.
Okay, Justine, I heard you tried a really good drink and it sounds up my alley. So I need you to tell me about it.
Yes. Okay. So a cool thing about working for a newspaper is I work with a food critic. And I heard this year that lychee is going to be like a big trending ingredient in the food we eat, but also in the drinks or cocktails. So last weekend I had a lychee Mai Tai. So if you're not familiar with a lychee, it's a fruit. I would say it's a mild fruit, but nice. Like I really like it. It's like better. Have you guys had a lychee before? I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe it. Like
I haven't.
It's sweet. I would put it more on like not like a mango or a peach, but more flavorful than like melon. Like does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like in the scale of fruit. And obviously a Mai Tai is a pretty fruity drink, and I got it in a fun tiki glass and everything. But this lychee Mai Tai, you can make it at home. You're going to need some dark rum and some white rum, a little bit of amaretto, or if you like an orange flavored liqueur or triple sec, you can kind of play around with that. And then you're going to make some lychee juice, which you can make from fresh lychees if you want to squeeze them. And then also save some of the fruit. You're going to need a lime, some ice, and 1 tablespoon of simple syrup if you want a sweeter drink, like if you want to add a little bit more sweet to it. And then to garnish, you'll have some mint, or you could put some lychee balls like on a festive toothpick if you wanted. All right, so to make this drink, you're going to combine the lychee fruit and the lychee juice in a shaker. You could also use a blender if you want to make sure that the lychees are nice and smooth. Then you're going to add the 2 rums. It's about an ounce each of your white rum and your dark rum. And then about a ½ ounce of the amaretto. And then squeeze a half lime into the shaker. And then you're going to save the lime for a garnish. So don't throw it out. Add some ice. And then make sure that your shaker, the top is secure. Shake everything in it together for a couple seconds until the drink is cold and frothy. And then afterwards, that's when you can add that simple syrup if you want to make it sweeter. Then pour your Mai Tai into a glass, and you can garnish with some mint and then that lime shell that you squeezed earlier. It's pretty good. I had quite a few and definitely felt it the next day.
That sounds so good.
They kind of sneak up on you.
I was going to say, I think it's like one that would sneak up on you.
Mm-hmm. It's very festive. And it came in a really cute tiki drink style glass. I was out at a bar, so they were good though. And I'll be curious to see if I see more lychee cocktails out in the world in 2025.
Here I am just looking at my coconut rum and cranberry juice, and I'm like, man, this sounds so much better.
So much
This is so bad in comparison. All right, so yeah, so I'm writing a list now for Matt to go to get this at the grocery store.
There you go. I don't know if they're seasonal, where you can find them in the grocery store. Being in Florida, I don't think we don't have a problem finding interesting fruits. But for you guys, I don't know if it would be hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if we could get it just in a juice, if it's kind of like a lemon juice type thing. If we can just get it already juiced.
It's a good question.
So I'll have to search.
All right, time for news. Jess, you want to go first?
I will. So we've been down in Wellington. We're now obviously back in the cold, but we went down for 2 weeks. We did WEF Premier and WEF 1, and it was great to start off the season and see everybody doing. Their horses are all in top form. We watched Roberto Chiron start off week 1 with 2 wins in the 3-star 145 before Niall Nasser took the Grand Prix win that first week. And then week 2, when we left, they've moved on to the grass, and it's so beautiful over there. They go over to Global and they jump on the grass to do a 3-star. And you've got all the top hitters there. I mean, you had Hendrik von Eckelman win on the Glamour Girl, the 145 3-star. And then turned out that Richard Vogel came back to do the Grand Prix, and he won the 3-star Grand Prix later that week on Sunday. So it's been crazy. Everybody's out. There's a lot of Europeans that have come to Wellington. We go to Ocala next. So I'm sure we'll see another run of a bunch of top hitters down there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it feels like it's been already an exciting start to the year down in Florida.
Right.
Between WEF and then Adequan, kind of up the road. It's been fun to watch Adrienne Lyle and her cool horse Helix from the Olympics.
Yes.
Competing.
Yeah, I've been seeing little snippets.
Yeah, it's super fun. I love this time of year. I mean, I'm very blessed to live in Florida where it's like easy for me to skip down and see some of it because it is really fun. If like you've never done a Florida trip for season, even to just come as a spectator, it is like it's a fun girls' weekend.
It's such a fun girls' weekend. And what I love, I mean, Ocala is a little harder to get to airfare wise because you can go to Orlando or Tampa. But the one thing I do love about Wellington is there are a lot of flights. There's 3 major airlines that I found that fly direct into Palm Beach. So I can fly Raleigh to Palm Beach for like under $100. Like it's ridiculous. Like you can do one ways, you can do round trip, whatever you do. But like a lot of times they'll go on sale between Avelo, Allegiant, or Breeze. They'll do like 50% off round trips. And it's crazy what I've flown like price wise. It's so nice. The airport's 20 minutes from the horse show. You can get a rental car, take Uber, all of it's available. And just Saturday Night Lights is very similar to kind of at Tryon. Like they put on a whole like show of it. And there's the carousel for the kids. There's shopping galore. Some of my favorite shoppings down in Wellington.
Heck yeah.
It's just
and
fun.
Even good
and
like
food.
Consignment stores and stuff.
Yes, their consignment store is great down there. The taqueria is great for like, and they have like good sales at times. So there's so much like I kind of stock up on when I'm down there to like get my season started.
Yeah, no, and what's cool about South Florida, like Palm Beach is great. It's a wonderful, easy airport, but like Fort Lauderdale and Miami aren't far either. So I just feel like there's
cheap. Options.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you should see it. I mean, the pricing has been ridiculous. Me looking at flights into Palm Beach is so nice. But then we also, the nice thing about Wellington is we can stay there, and it was really nice weather before the new year started. And so we would go to the beach, and like, there's so many public beaches. The kids would just go play or like walk around the beach and everything else. We even went up towards a little north, and there was these like really cool rocks that the water would come up on. And it was like private. I mean, it was a public beach, but there was like nobody on there because there's not commercialized restaurants and stuff, that we just like spent the afternoon playing with the kids. Like it was cold, so nobody really wanted to swim, but just walking on the beach, and it's all public beaches right there.
Definitely. Yeah. No, it's worth it. It's fun.
Ellie, what do you have for us?
Well, I actually had some info on how we can help with the LA wildfires. The wildfires they scare the crap out of me. And
it's so bad.
Yeah, it's definitely terrifying. And I always, worry about horse evacuations. So I found this thing on the Chronicle of the Horse with a few different places because everybody who wants to help, they're saying like, don't just show up, because it distracts when they're trying to get everything done, like because they need to be so organized and coordinated during such crises. But there's a few different places where we can donate money or like help, like call them and ask if they need help mucking stalls or things like that. So we'll post these there, but a couple of them are the Los Angeles County Animal Control and Care and Control, the Equine Aid Foundation's Disaster Relief Fund, Fleet of Angels, USEF's Disaster Relief Fund, and LA Animal Services.
Yeah, and we'll share all those links in the show notes too. So if you're looking for ways to help, we'll make it easy for you. But holy cow, we went to Hawaii for Christmas, and Alex's brother lives in Pasadena, California. And so we spent some time with him on our way home. Like we stayed and hung out with them in Pasadena. And I feel like it was days later, we got home and this happened. And, they have young kids and a home, and it just like this, the stress of what they're going through is just, it's unreal. I don't even know what to say. It's just awful what's happening out there. And I just could not imagine adding the stress of owning horses to that, you know, trying to get your horses out. So all our friends out west, like, I hope you guys are hanging in there.
Absolutely. Justine, what do you have for us?
So some interesting news came out of Europe at the start of this year. We're starting to see these changes in rules from various equestrian federations. And the latest one is the Danish. Denmark, their federation, which is I think it's Danish Ride Forbund is what it's called, at the start of the year has decided to make nose bands, you know, the piece of your bridle that goes over your horse's nose, optional. And even add a partial provision for bitless bridles in competition. This is specific for the lower levels, but I think it's pretty cool. Like, why not, right?
Yeah.
So basically, this new rule, I guess, would allow nose bands to be optional at all levels at national dressage events, and then a bitless bridle may be used in dressage at the lower levels, and then the double bridle is optional too at the upper levels. I think it's cool. I think like giving people more options to like for what works with their horse, I think is great. I don't understand why you have to use one if your horse is say more comfortable without it.
Exactly. Well, and then
how does that give you a competitive edge? You know what I mean?
Doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever they're done. And so, and on that note, before we move on, is also I do want to remind everybody that the FEI has now decided that you can't clip inside the ears at all, and you can't clip the muzzles for any sport. And so there were actually in the show jumping in Ocala, the very first of the year, the first FEI, 3 people got spun because the FEI was down in Ocala having their meetings as well, but they cracked down and 3 people actually, their horses were freshly clipped in the ears and they were spun and couldn't compete that week.
Holy cow. So they're serious.
They're serious. And so Wellington, they checked everybody and everybody they said had some hair growth, but I was speaking with the vet down there, the FEI vet, and he said, look, we're trying to be as lenient as possible right now, that if we had any hair growth, like we let it go, but they said they're not going to be able to be that lenient come a couple months because then the hair should have had time to grow. And they're really, FEI is like completely adamant about absolutely no hair.
I'm not going to lie. I love to see it. I think that's great.
And I did clarify that you can, you know how you like you can cusp the ear and clean up just the outside so it's not just disgusting. So you just can't go inside of the ear. So you don't have to have like the most disgusting ears like sticking out. Like you can pinch the ears together and go straight down, but you cannot do anything inside of the ear.
Okay, got it. Yeah, mine, like Mikey, he grows like a bush out of his ear. And
right? And it's so gross. And you're like, okay, can I at least clip some of it just for like little bit of looks?
I know. And
most of ours are in as well, so we don't have to look at them.
Exactly.
But yes.
But they get like gunk in the hair.
They get gunk and like you know,
and I'm like twisting it to try to get the gunk out. Like, so I understand from like a grooming perspective of tidying it up, you know, but yeah, I always thought it like, you know, as someone who grew up in the Hunters, it just seemed like the most asinine thing that we did, that we made their ears completely naked, you know.
100%. Yeah. And it's not helpful, like with flies and things.
No,
like they get those gnats.
Yes.
Ugh, yes. It just grosses me out. I remember having to like swat ears all the time because they were shaved.
Yep.
And it's like, why? I mean, Berkeley gets bad. Luckily, his don't get nasty, but he grows like a long hair that curls at the end.
At the end.
Okay.
That's the one you want to do is the end one. That's what I just really want to clip up is the very end of it grows weird.
Oh, he won't let me clip him. I mean, I think he will let me clip
scissors?
Literally everything, the outside of his ears, like, but as soon as you move to the front of the ear, he says no. I blame it on the fact that his dad didn't have any ears. That it's like an homage to his father that he doesn't let people touch his ears.
But could you cut it with a scissor and like quickly snip it?
Oh, I could. I sometimes do that when he's grazing, but I have to be very sneaky because he knows. I'm like, why do you care? Like, you can literally have me clipping your, you know, around your forelock. You don't care at all. Like, I'm like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, you know, it's weird about that thing.
It is.
But I think this is great, honestly, and I hope it starts to move out of dressage too, like into the hunters and stuff, because
it's throughout FEI, jumping, eventing, everything. So it might, it's more of an FEI rule, but it could easily, you could see it become like sort of a USEF situation.
Yeah. No, I mean the nose bands and stuff too. Like I would love for that to be like bitless bridles in like the hunters and things like that would be huge, because some horses do just go better in them.
Yeah.
Like, I
agree. So we'll see. It's an interesting and slow changing of the times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Introducing the Leaf Saddle Pad with Memory Foam by EcoGold, a sleek, thin pad that embodies modern simplicity, reducing friction while preserving your saddle's perfect fit. Crafted with the ultra-breathable 3D Aeroflow mesh fabric, perforated memory foam, and a stylish non-slip leaf design, it delivers effortless support and style. Non-slip leaf design, inspired by nature, the elegant leaf pattern not only adds style, but also provides a secure grip to keep your saddle firmly in place. Designed to be sleek and thin, the leaf won't interfere with your saddle's fit, ensuring both comfort and precision without adding bulk. Visit ecogold.ca to learn more.
So, Justine, I heard you got something from Finish Line Horse Products, and I wanted to talk to you about it. I've used their Apple a Day electrolytes for a while, but you got a new product, and I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I've always liked Finish Line. I don't know if it's because I'm a thoroughbred person, and a lot of their products are used among like in the racing industry, and they've come from vets and get a lot of research from that community. I'm also a big fan of the Apple a Day electrolytes. I think they're a great price point. It's a true electrolyte without a bunch of sugar in it, and they do a nice job. But I've had Mikey on a variety of Finish Line supplements over the years. I'm also a big fan of the U7 gastric health supplement, and maybe that is why they reached out to me. Sometimes I see them at horse shows offering free samples, or they have a stand set up at the horse shows. But Finish Line reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try a new product a couple months ago called Thiacal. It's a daily thiamine, which is vitamin B1 and magnesium supplement that they've just released on the market that is really geared towards helping your horse stay focused and calm, and then helps promote healthy nerves in your horse. So Thiacal is a liquid. It comes you can get it in a tub, essentially, where you pour it into your horse's feed if you wanted to over a top dressing, or they come in individual syringe uses. And so you have the vitamin B1 and then the magnesium in it, but it's also balanced with calcium and some electrolytes in this liquid. But I think it might also come in powder form if your horse doesn't like a liquid. I just got the liquid, but Mikey loves it. He eats it no problem. I've been adding it just recently, just as Mikey comes back to work and the weather's been weird, just to kind of keep the shenanigans to a minimum if I can, and help him stay focused on the work. And I really like it. What I like about Finish Line is they're very transparent about their products, about what's in them and what they're designed for. This is a product designed for performance horses, that especially a horse that might be a little bit nervous or on the muscle type. It doesn't include ingredients that would test, so no tryptophan or valerian root or kava. The only thing that's in it is the B1, the magnesium, and then a little bit of salt from electrolytes and calcium. It's very easy to feed. It's it's great price point. Like if you wanted to try something, but you didn't want to spend a ton of money as you're trying to figure out what works best for your horse, this is a really easy one to try first. And I trust Finish Line. I really do. I've used their products with my horses over a number of years, and I think they're great. I think a horse that could benefit from the supplement is any horse that, I don't want to say, like behavioral issues, but any horse that may be a little nervous or a little restless, or, maybe a little restless, might be a little hyper excited at new places, or maybe a little nervous in the trailer. Anything that can kind of help your horse stay focused and take a little bit of that edge off without making them feel super drowsy, I really like that non-drowsiness, no no one performs well when they feel funny, right? So I think this is something that might help keep your horse focused, like I said, without that kind of like sedated kind of feeling to it. You could feed it daily. You could feed it just ahead of a performance event, like a couple hours before. I think it provides, like, Mikey still seems like very alert when he's on it. I'm not messing with his normal instincts or senses, but he seems a little bit more relaxed. So I like it. It's something I'm definitely going to keep in my tech trunk while I'm bringing Mikey back into work and hopefully adding more events and like outings on our calendar. And again, it's easy to find. It's already on the shelves at my feed store, but you can buy it online. You can find it at finishlinehorse.com. And again, the product is called Thia-Cal, THIA-CAL.
Yeah, it sounds like the perfect product for spring fever that's going to be coming from those of us in the cold.
Right, exactly. I think that is a perfect example of like, maybe I should give this a try,
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to welcome our guest for this evening. It is Dr. Sam Fielding. She is an Ivy League educated doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. She came from a family of orthopedic surgeons, but found her way to acupuncture. Through her lifelong passion for horses, it has become her life's work to share her understanding of how we shape the worlds we live through the power of our minds. Her quote is, "It all starts with each of us in our own minds." Welcome, Dr. Sam.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
So it's the start of a new year, and for many riders, the kickoff of the winter show season. A lot of work goes into preparing for the competition. What are some good mental health habits riders should consider exploring at the start of the new season?
Well, everybody loves the new year, and it's kind of a nice time to frame things. But for me, I think if you don't have a mental practice or kind of a mindset, kind of, what would I call it? Like just an overall mindset perspective that you have as an individual, the new year is the perfect time to say, okay, I'm going to have some kind of intentionality behind this. So just even getting a little bit clear on what works and what doesn't work for me is the first place to start. But I think the biggest thing that I want to, when I read that question, I thought, okay, well, I just want to emphasize the fact that I feel like a mindset is, a lot of people want like a pull it out of the pocket trick that you can use for show season. And it really doesn't work that way. It's really kind of it's a practice that you have to integrate into your way of being in your day-to-day so that it actually helps you in your riding. But the new year is a good time to kind of assess and say, well, one, do I have a understanding of what having a good, strong, competitive, positive mindset is or not? I mean, that's a basic place to start. And truly, you'd be shocked that when it push comes to shove, a lot of people wouldn't be able to answer if they have a plan or not. They just kind of, I didn't, when the wheels come off is when people start to think, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah, I think that pressure you're talking about that we feel every time we enter the show arena, I mean, we get that even when we're not competing, right? Like that pressure is pretty universal for equestrians, and pressure to make more time for our horses and more time for the saddle, or pressure from family to spend less time with the horse, or pressure to keep up with the rest of the riders in the program. What are tips that we can do to handle that pressure and get that mindset before show season and in our lives daily?
I think that the big question that I want riders to ask themselves really is, why do I do this in the first place? Like, what is my objective? Whether you're an amateur or a professional, I think that it helps to look at the big picture first and really step back, because with anything so technical like riding, sometimes you get over-focused on the details and the minutia of things, and you kind of lose sight of the whole big picture. And when you ask yourself something as fundamental as, why am I doing this in the first place? It helps you prioritize what really matters and what is extraneous. is that pressure from my family, is that real, or is that something I'm making up in my head? And certainly it's something that I think people can turn to work to their favor. So every issue has two sides to it, right? And some of it can be true and some of it is not true. Sometimes we just create something out of nothing, which I think happens to a lot of people. But that fundamental question of why do I do this will help you kind of sort through and filter out what's critical. What do I actually need to pay attention to? And what do I prioritize in terms of my time, my energy? Because going to the barn is like this strange time warp where you're like, I'll be here for a half hour. 2 hours later, you're like, wow, I haven't done anything.
Still here.
Exactly.
So I think that the pressure can be real. But again, when you ask yourself, what is this for? And honestly, the vast majority of us do it because we love horses. That was why we start. There's like that hard to explain to non-horse people draw that just makes you go, oh my God, I just want to be around a horse. And that kind of all ties into feeling good and feeling at home and really kind of connecting to something bigger than you. And when we do get into it and kind of go down the competitive road, I think it's really easy to lose sight of that. So going back to that, I think can really make you weed out what's just totally extraneous and not even necessary to give a second thought. Just let it go. Some of it's total.
No, I love that.
I love that too. And I think that's important. And also something you said earlier, like we don't really think about our mindset and how we plan for that until there's a problem, right? Like that just hit me like a sack of bricks, because you're right. And to give you a more thorny situation to kind of unpack, I'm coming at, like, for me personally, I have a horse that has been off for a number of years for various lameness things. So I'm someone who's not been able to show. And that's really like warped my mind in a lot of ways. Like it's taken, I like grieved the end of that period of my life. That was a very important period of my life for a long time, and have been in this weird purgatory. But now my horse is sound, and we're gonna try again, and with a different mindset, right? Because what we went through has changed us. We're not the same. But now I feel like deep down I still miss that competitive side of myself, but I'm lacking that motivation to get where we were before, or at least just to try to get going, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any tips on how to balance that? Like balance some motivation without feeling overwhelmed as I'm kind of charting new territory?
Yeah, I think, I experienced something similar to that. Well, one, I have a chronically injured horse. I don't know that I'll ever be in your situation with her, but as a pro skier, transitioning into being a mom, I went through a similar kind of grieving process of, oh my God, I'm never going to live that life. That was the best time of my life, that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
What it came down to was thinking about the fact that I had identified my being so closely with what I did, and I was a skier. Like that's truly what I believed. So without that, I kind of felt like there was nothing left, which when you say that to someone else sounds absolutely ridiculous. But when you're the one experiencing it, it's very real, and it feels it's sad. You really feel like you're losing something of yourself. So I think when that happens, it's a really difficult transition for a lot of people to go through. And it's something that there's so much joy and so many fond memories from the past that it's hard to think, well, I'm not going to experience that again. But if you start to shift what you're looking at in terms of where am I going and where am I right now, to what do I want to create and feel, what do I want to achieve with this particular horse, again, the big why am I going back to this, it helps you kind of separate that past experience from where you are right now. Because ultimately, like when we're talking about competition, when we're talking about mindset, the number one thing you need in order to be successful is to be present. Truly, in your thinking, in your focus, in just the whole experience. So I think by big picture, looking at, okay, what's the objective? Where am I? Does this truly reflect who I am as an individual? Some of these big questions that seem completely unrelated to riding are absolutely critical. And then when you bring it back into the small, like moment to moment, like when you're done journaling and you're like, now, great, I feel terrible. What do I do right now? It still comes down to where am I right now and how am I feeling? And for me, when I think about mindset, that's the work. It's not let me sit down and work with my sports psychologist and get these breathing exercises or visualizations. Yes, that's really critical for, at the shows or, competition time. But you're really doing the heavy lifting, like the actual training of the mind in dealing with those difficult moments. Those moments where you're like, okay, well, right now literally sucks. What do I do? And the answer is still so simple that it's kind of, people just don't believe it. But it's truly just to be where you are with whatever is going on in your body, whatever is coming through your mind, and not fighting. It's so simple. It's kind of like riding, right? Like,
yeah.
The essence of being a good rider is to figure out, where is the energy of my horse? Where is the motion going? How do I become synced with this instead of fighting against it? Like, you watch the best riders and it looks like they're doing nothing. You can't see their hands. You can't see their legs. They're moving a lot, but they look still because they're one with the picture, right?
Yeah.
So when you're doing that mentally, emotionally in the moment with some kind of struggle, internal, like, just, my kids are young, and there's this book called Sometimes I'm Bombaloo, which I think is the greatest word for that feeling where you're just like, it's chaos, like it's emotional crap and it's boiling over and you just don't know what to do. And you feel like it's like, oh, I'm on the verge of just having a freak out. Tuning into that is actually what you want to do. And most people's tendency is the complete opposite, to be like, oh, I don't like this. Let me start thinking about what's going to solve this. Where am I going to go? What's going to make me not feel this ever again? But the reality is you're never going to escape that feeling. So the work is to get good at not resisting. Like when you have a horse that pulls like a mad dog, you're never going to outpull them. You got to learn how to give and go with it and figure out, like, wait, why is it pulling? How can I do something different? The resistance is the thing that gets us into the trouble. So with that, finding that motivation is, I'd love to say, okay, well, try this, but the real answer comes for you as an individual in that moment of being like, wow, I really don't know if I'll go back to that. And then literally exploring, well, what comes up? What now then? What do I want? Where do I want to go? What would be a positive outcome for me? And I think that that's another key point that we very much in the horse world are terrible at, is kind of riding your own experience, being in it with your horse, because there's so many disciplines where it's like, well, this is the model. You need to look like this. Your horse should be, if you're a hunter, you should have a bay with lots of chrome. Like it doesn't give you much space to do the thing that works for you, but to be successful and enjoy the process, that's what has to come first.
That was very powerful. I feel like I needed to hear that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness. But Dr. Sam, something that you do in your own practice I thought was really interesting, and you might be able to brief. I'm sure we can't get into every aspect of it in a short interview, but you're a big fan of hypnotherapy. Can you tell us how this practice works and could benefit horseback riders?
Sure. So hypnotherapy really at its core is dealing with getting into the deeper parts of our mind. That's the subconscious things that we think we can't really access. The mind is a really powerful thing, and we use such a small part of it, but there's so much going on at a subconscious level in everything we do, but certainly when you're doing something that's really complex, like riding. And okay, so riding in and of itself is complex. There's a lot going on. But then on top of that, you add the fact that you're dealing with a huge, powerful animal you're off the ground. Like there's so much fear baked into the process of riding that your subconscious is always going to be part of the situation. Like that's the part of us that keeps us alive. So I love it because I don't care who you are, how confident you appear on the outside. There's always something in each of us that's going to make us go, oh crap. Something that maybe you're not even aware of from your past experience. You know, I'm a big believer that we're not here just this one time. I mean, there's no way to explain these geniuses that come back and can play the piano at 2. Like to me, it's pretty clear that we've been around many times. And that energy, those experiences can influence us now in this lifetime. And when you're looking at the subconscious patterns or the things that are going on behind the scenes, there's a lot of it that can screw you up without you even knowing. Like, for example, I have so many people that come to me and they're like, I just don't understand why I do this. Or, you know, there's a certain thing that happens and then all of a sudden they can't ride. And those types of scenarios are the perfect way to go into your mind and see, okay, well, this is actually something to do with your childhood. That when you're feeling like you're going to fail or you're not going to be successful or seen, you go into panic mode because that's an experience you had as a kid. So there's so many pieces that go into the riding experience that seem completely unrelated. But at the core of it, because of the fact that riding in and of itself can be fear-inducing, that's activated. So when you go in and do some hypnosis work to kind of, you do a little detective work, unpack to see, does this make sense? Because once you understand, then you can change it, which is the really cool part. You can kind of reprogram the belief system so that that's not even a thing that actually creates this, you know, like one of the most common things I've heard with working with people is they literally all of a sudden they like check out, or they can't feel their legs, or parts of them, like they can't remember their cores. Like this is really common for a lot of people. And it's amazing when you unpack where that actually comes from and then help them understand that, well, this actually has nothing to do with your technical riding skills and everything to do with these belief systems that you've had as a person. Which is why I go back to that original statement, like the work, the heavy lifting has nothing to do with your riding. The mindset is kind of a human thing. And the riding then becomes like your playground to execute because you've done all the hard work just being a human. That's what I love about it, because the benefit goes both ways. So you do the hard work of being in that uncomfortable kind of energy. Then you go to your horse and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be more in sync with what's going on. I'm going to be present. Your horse is going to feel that and appreciate it. Like, thanks for not bringing the anxiety today. I feel that.
Right.
You know, and then you going to be a human for the rest of your life outside of the 4 hours that you thought was going to be one at the barn, you feel good too. And it's like, it's just this positive feedback, because then you talk about the pressure thing. That's not there because you're enjoying it. You're coming back happier. Your family appreciates that you're going and you're doing the thing and you're coming back refreshed and kind of reconnected. And you're the best version of yourself when you're with them. So
right.
That was a long answer to the hypnosis thing, but
that's okay. Another major factor that, I mean, I've dealt with a lot in the recent years is like that fear of missing out, right? That FOMO. Like Justine, I had a horse that was also recovering, but I was also recovering from paralysis from my multiple sclerosis. And I struggle a lot because it puts you in a really dark place, especially social media, right? Because
Yep.
you see these people doing all these great things and you just, you regret and you miss things that you used to do. What is like a healthy way to cope with these like FOMO feelings without having to say, delete your entire Instagram account? Or is that the way? I mean,
honestly, you want to know my opinion? I think it's delete the Instagram account. But I know a lot of people aren't going to do that. But
maybe
it's
even for a short period of time, we delete it, or we take like a hiatus or whatever.
Take a holiday.
Yeah.
Or if you truly, people are like, are you not doing this anymore? I'm like, no, I'm basically taking a social media hiatus personally, because I can feel the effect that it has on me when I go in there. I can see the time getting sucked away. Like, what happened? And I just don't want to spend my time doing that. So I truly do honestly think, for me, being out of there is the best solution. But it also, I think, is, even with the awareness that I have as a practitioner, I have the good fortune of being able to see behind the curtain. When I talk with clients or when I'm working with patients as an acupuncturist, it's really amazing to kind of just open the door, hear what's really going on, and realize, wow, these people are put together. They're living their lives. They're doing their thing. But if you didn't actually know the pain that they're experiencing or the challenges that they're facing as real people, it all looks different. I see that so clearly in my practice. There's so many things that I've seen by getting to kind of go deep with strangers, essentially, for over a decade. You realize, wow, the social media stuff is just not reality. And I'm okay with totally owning that and seeing that and saying, okay, you know what? I'm too lazy to fabricate that for everyone. Like, I'm sorry if I can't put that effort in. And then also when I look at other things, it's just, of course, people want to make it come across as the best of them. And I think it could be a really positive thing, but it's so sticky on our minds. It infiltrates our thinking. It kind of becomes that, like, I think people call it a wormhole. Like when you get a song stuck in your head, you can get thoughts or pictures and images stuck in your head too. And to me, my mind is so sticky naturally, I have to keep it extra clean.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think it's just like you said, understanding people. Yeah. Some people can handle it and some people need more hiatus than the others.
Yeah. And I think also just keeping that perspective of, everyone's painting the best picture for them.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone. There are some people that go on there
it's a true Instagram versus reality.
Yes, there's definitely that. And I think it's easy for me too, because I grew up in a generation where we didn't have that.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing. So now I watch it. And so I can see the contrast of pre and post and go, this isn't good. I'm watching teenagers and thinking, thank God we didn't have this.
No, I think that all the time. I'm like, thank goodness I did not have social media.
Yeah. I was saying to someone today, I want to write a book called From Gen X to Gen Z. I don't think I'm allowed to say the title because,
that's amazing.
But I was just thinking, you guys are wearing our styles, copying our music, but
it's totally different. No,
you just totally don't
different.
Get it.
No. Well, Sam, thank you so much for coming on. But will you tell our listeners before you leave, where can they, find you? Where can they learn more about your practices? Obviously, maybe not social media as a hiatus, but like, how can they find more things about you and like what you're, so passionate about?
Well, that's the funny thing, because I have actually, I kind of went through a major reboot of my whole life, and you're a mom, you get this. My kids are small, and that time is not, it goes by fast.
It's precious.
So I really have kind of shifted everything and minimized, what do I not need to have? What do I not need to keep going? So really, truly, the only way to get me is social media, but good luck, because I don't go on there very much.
That's okay. We can get you to check it every once in a while and catch up on it. If you're persistent,
I do go in there and I see messages, and I definitely will respond to people. And people can still get in touch with me through the Instagram profile. I have a little link on there. If they want to schedule a call or actually have a hypnosis session, they can definitely reach out to me there.
Oh, perfect.
But I've actually also kind of shifted back to going back in my physical acupuncture practice. And
oh, nice.
I've been doing a lot of that because it's what I want to focus on right now. And that's another last, one thing for the show season. Riding is such a athletic it's a sport, people, if you're not a rider.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another thing I think is really important is you start the new year really dialing in your physical health, your wellness, your nutrition, because all of that feeds into your mindset in big ways. So
no, 100%.
Yeah.
So Dr. Sam, thank you so much for joining us and coming on. We had so much fun learning about how to kind of get our mindsets going for the new year.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking me.
Okay, so Jess, you being in town-ish, being in Florida recently, made me like start thinking about my favorite places to horse show. And not just because like I have a great memory of performing well there or I go there the most often, but just like the coolest places I've gotten to go to horse show because of the vibe and the town that it's in. And like, you know, those horse shows that you add to your calendar and you book all your accommodations and everything, and you're just excited to go like it's a vacation. Like those types of horse shows is what I want to know what your favorites are.
So Kentucky's always like had a special place. Like I love Kentucky. I love the week of Kentucky, you know, going, everything's there. It's super fun. And I think when I mean
we're talking
Kentucky,
about the horse part.
Land Rover. Yeah. Well, and I mean Land Rover, because I've shown Kentucky other parts of the year and it's good and it's fine. And I love the town, but Kentucky meaning like Land Rover, Kentucky, that whole week where everybody's there, you get to see, you know, the cross country, the fact that they put in so much into the cross country with the jumps and like the flowers and everything, like it just makes, you know, the VIP, like everybody's there, the hospitality, the rings are always done up. Like it is like you're walking into Disneyland, you know, like it is in top form. And so I think that's always amazing. I also do love to start off the season going to like Wellington and like you see the best of the best and you see everybody down there. And it's kind of a nice, you know, like warm thing, you know, maybe it's not super warm, but it is a change. You're down in, you know, probably the warmest place you could be. So it's like a good kind of get us motivated, see the best of the best and start the season. And then as for like other destinations, I'm kind of excited. We're going to do some new ones this year that we've never done. So now that, you know, we're not eventing, which is a different change and everything, but it's different opportunity that we can go try out in other different places and kind of see what some of those destinations are.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I agree with you. Kentucky is a very special one. To be there for that week it's like electric in the air, you know?
Yeah.
It's really exciting
different.
To be there. Yeah.
It is. And so like, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this several times. Like if you haven't done Kentucky, you know, we eat at our favorite spots and everything else. And I'm excited because this year Kentucky is going to have a 5-star in eventing and Derek's doing the 5-star in show jumping with Split Rock. So to have 2 5-stars in 2 different disciplines at the same venue in the United States.
Same weekend. Yeah.
Same
crazy.
weekend is amazing.
It is very crazy.
So Justine, so you talk about it. Where have you been that you love to go?
So I've mentioned this too. Like I'm very lucky to be in Florida because everybody comes here this time of year to be at all of the beautiful venues in Florida. And I've lived all across the state. So I've been to all of them to compete and to be a spectator or cover them. So I'm just very lucky to be here. And my favorites are kind of the obvious ones. There is no doubt, if you have not been to WEC yet in Ocala, that it is literally the Disneyland for horse people. They've thought of everything. Every time I go there, it's like you pull in through the gates and you're just like, you get the feeling like you're a kid in Disney. Like you're just like, oh my God, this place is amazing. It
doesn't seem real when you pull in, to be honest.
No, it's really an unbelievable thing. I hate to like feed into the hype, but it's like, it's warranted because it's really lovely. And I've been lucky to bring my horse there in horse show, but my horse has only been there one time, and I've gone many a times just to watch the Grand Prix or to have dinner or just to take a stroll around and watch people compete when horse shows are going on. It's just a really special place. So if that's not on your bucket list, just to come to Ocala and see it, it really should be because it is quite cool. It's really lovely. The footing, the arenas, the restaurants, the cocktails. I really can't think of anything that they didn't think of. So it's really nice. And one like that that's really up and coming is Terra Nova. I mean, it is equally gorgeous in its own unique way. They've really thought of everything when it comes to the competitors' experience. The barns are lovely. All the hacking trails to get to the arenas. The cross-country course is unreal. It's a little bit farther out there in that it's the only venue really down where they're at, south of Tampa, but it makes it special because it's in a really rural part of old Florida, and you get to experience the real Florida, like not the white sandy beaches, not the condos, but like old, beautiful Florida of it borders a state park, the Mayaca River State Park, which is beautiful and a great place to see gators and airboats and really experience the true beauty of Central Florida that I love because this is where I'm from. So that's part of what makes Terra Nova special for me. But honestly, I love the old school venues too, like Rocking Horse up in Umatilla, Florida. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's been an eventing mecca for many, many years, and it's just on many acres of rolling Florida land. And they've updated their arenas over the years, so the footing is great, but it's a friendly place to horse show that you can get a nationally rated experience, but still feel like you know everybody there. So that one is near and dear to my heart just because I hope it exists forever. What about you, Ellie?
You guys both make me want to go down warm.
You have to come.
Right?
You have to.
You have to come.
Okay, so obviously my fuzzy horses would melt, but maybe I wouldn't melt with enough fans. But yeah, no, I see pictures of these and I'm like, I want to go so bad. One of these days, gosh darn it.
And by the way, I did say Kentucky, and Kentucky snowed one year on the first jog.
Yeah, that's true.
So
okay.
I did not actually state two warm places. I stated one warm place and then Kentucky. And that is the coldest place on the earth.
Okay, so none of mine are really warm except for one. So, okay. If we're talking horse shows that like I've never shown at.
Yeah, you don't have to show. Yeah.
But that I like the venue and things. Obviously, we've talked about the Royal before.
Oh, I forgot about that. Actually, I would add that to my list.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, one of the coolest places.
Yeah, just a really fun place, like just a fun venue, super great to like watch from like above. Like I was in one of like the boxes and it was so fun.
Oh, that's nice.
But
there's also like you go to the ag fair.
Oh,
like, there's so much to do. I like saw little cows, like I saw them like competing a little, like I saw those kids that were real serious about competing the cows. That was kind of strange, but like super cool. Like I'd never seen it. You know, when they like direct the cows and they're showing them off, I was like lost for a little bit.
So that one definitely is up there. And I've only been one time, so that'll tell you just like how much it left an impression on me. Another one, NRHA Futurity in Oklahoma City. That is another just like fun, big Coliseum venue. But the one thing I like about big Western horse shows like that is the stall displays and stuff. Like their barn setups are wild. Like,
oh, nuts.
Like I'm talking, they break down temporary stalls and build like entire bars and like lounge areas. Like,
wow.
They look like hotels.
Yeah, it is like nothing I have ever seen at any big hunt seat show ever. So those are definitely like just a fun to like go and walk around and just see, like, you know, they throw these big posters up of these beautiful horses. And that's just a fun venue to walk around and just see lots of beautiful horses. In terms of shows that I've done that I also just like the areas, I would go Saratoga, HITS on the Hudson, and Vermont, I think is owned by HITS now, but it used to be the Vermont Summer Festival, but I think HITS bought it too. That's up in Dorset, Vermont. Those are really fun, and I like just because they're nice areas, and like in terms of like restaurants, there are like little restaurants and like quaint little things that you can find, but also there's just beautiful views, like lots of little fun hikes and like quarries and things you can go to. So if I'm doing like an away show where I don't get to actually be in my own bed, those are my go-tos because I can do fun things away from the show as well. And I really want to try WEC in Ohio at some point. I've been looking at it for a while. They're indoor.
Yeah.
I've heard it's really nice. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
And now that dressage finals is there. I've been thinking about it more seriously. Like it's worth the trip.
Yeah.
There is one other place I have to mention that I totally forgot because I was thinking more, jumping scene, eventing scene, everything else. But the one place like is a go-to, I feel like it's like a must, is the PBR in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And they have like Cowboy Christmas, which my sister was explaining to me, like, oh, it's the biggest shopping. And I was like, okay, it must be like Kentucky, right? Oh, no. It's like,
no,
I was way wrong.
Another world, huh?
It was the craziest thing. And what I loved about it was every night was the same. So you didn't have to go for the whole thing and feel like you're missing it. Like there were 10 rounds or however many. Somebody could correct me on this, but I went one night and I was like, oh, what if I don't get to see the bull riding or XYZ? And they're like, oh no, it's the same every night. And it's just different rounds of it and different people. I was like, that's super cool. So we went and watched it and it was in Vegas and I would go back there in a heartbeat because it was so fun.
Yeah, that one sounds like it's probably amazing.
It was amazing.
I did the stock show in Denver one year just to go and watch it. It was so cool. And the shopping was amazing too. But that's got to be like the ultimate, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. It was the ultimate. It was amazing. It was so, so cool.
That's cool. That's fun.
Well, it's that time. Rose and Thorn.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I think I have to think about mine. Hold on.
Do you want to go, Jess? Do you know?
I can go.
Okay.
So I kind of have like a bit of a combo, but I will start with, this is like my rose and my thorn because I can't figure out if I'm excited or terrified about this situation.
Okay.
Oh no, Justine, I text you. It's just the day has come.
Okay, and I'm excited about this. I think this is great.
And that's why I just don't know if it's my rose or thorn. So I kind of have like a mix of both of them. And so we were down in Wellington and Doug was driving the kids around or something. And Abigail or Hudson looked at him and said, oh, look at the little ponies. There was ponies everywhere, and they go, yeah, but one day they're going to get big. They didn't understand ponies didn't grow. They just have seen our horses that are weanlings that look like ponies grow up to be 17, 18 hands. So they've had no interest in ponies. So Doug made the mistake and said, oh, no, those are ponies. Those like 17 years old. Like that's fully grown. Abigail's eyes lit up and she's like, no way. They stay that size? He's like, yeah. Yeah. So he's like, she goes, oh, maybe I need a pony. I was like, oh goodness. So long story short, we've kind of had this in the works that we've like known about it. So there's a pony that is like 45 minutes away from the house. And a client of ours is really good friends with them. And the pony's perfect. And, he's 17 years old and he's great with the kids and everything else. So needless to say, we are getting a pony this week.
Yay!
I
know.
So
it's the best news.
We're horrible
and it's
influencers.
Really cute. It is really cute.
It's way
and it
cute.
Is really good with the kids, but I'm like, oh, here we are. So we've ordered we don't even have a helmet or paddock boots or anything for these kids. So I had to order all that and everything. So it's a medium so that I can at least still ride it. And then, he's really, really good. He's perfect. Like the kids were walking him around. We went and visited him a couple days ago and he is perfect. So needless to say, the pony is coming in a couple days.
Yay!
And then my
Wait, so what's the pony's name? This is important.
Doodlebug.
Oh my God.
Yes. It is extra. It is so stinking cute. It's bay with a big white blaze, like dark bay. It's really pretty too.
I just can't wait to see her face.
Oh, she's excited. Beyond excited. She talks about how many days till Friday.
Oh.
So, so the pony is coming. And then on top of that, with this weather that we've had, so we went down, the kids didn't start school till like Tuesday after the New Year and everything. So I was like, I had plans to get home and they'd go to school for like 4 days, but we had a bunch of clients in Florida. So then I had a return trip that Thursday or Friday or whatever. And the weather was like so bad at home, we couldn't get home. And so the kids just stayed in Florida. I thought, you know what? He's in first grade. He could miss a couple days of school. Totally fine. It worked out. I had a bunch of stuff to get caught up on. It was great. So then we were late because Quincy jumped amazing in the Sunday 3-star class and finished 6th, which was amazing. But then it put us late on the road. So long story short, we were late to get to school Monday. And I thought, it's fine. They've got all week to go to school. You know, he's out of school on Friday, but for Martin Luther King. So I got him to school by like 9:30. I thought, oh, I'm really doing well. And then Tuesday, they go to school and he comes home and he has a fever. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm like, oh, maybe it's like a 24-hour. Nope, it was a 48-hour. So then he didn't go to school on Wednesday, didn't go to school on Thursday. Friday was a holiday and Monday was a holiday. And I was like, these kids have not been to school all year, basically. Like, this is ridiculous. So I'm like failing as a parent currently that I can't get my kids to go to school. And I'm like, and the school was great. Like, they were like totally understandable. So they finally went back to school Tuesday after Martin Luther King. And I was like, now the snow's coming. I'm like, please, they have got to stay in school. Like, please let them continue to stay to school because they can't miss any more school this month. So that's my rose thorn combo, is that I'm just praying they're going to school this week.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because like once they like keep missing, I mean, I'm like, well, I mean, they're in first grade. I shouldn't worry too much, but it just gets a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, you live such a crazy, you know, like your schedule changes so much. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, and then I was like, oh, we're going to be home for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then, you know, always that first of the year, everybody's sick. I was so sick the other year. And so thankfully, Doug and I are fine. And they jumped back quickly. So there's been a lot of like funk going around, I guess.
Okay.
So fingers crossed that everybody else stays healthy for the year.
Yeah, it's been going around at my work too, and I'm not a fan.
I've heard it. I mean, he just was sick. Like, I mean, he just had like a mild fever. It wasn't it. But as soon as I said it, like a lot of our friends that live other places, they're like, oh yeah, everybody's been super sick. I'm like, oh, don't come here.
I know, it's that time of year, you know.
It's just that time of year. Exactly.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed everybody stays healthy.
What about you, Ellie?
Well, my rose would probably be that the 20th was Batman's 18th birthday.
Oh my
my goodness.
Wow.
Which is kind of wild to me because I found some photos when I was looking through of like when I first wrote him in like 2014. And I'm like, oh my God, I've literally loved the source for like over a decade now. And that's terrifying because that's also meaning that it's been that long since I was in college. So that,
yeah.
I love that's the realization.
I know, that means that's when you take a sip of your drink, Ellie.
Yeah. So like that is kind of scary, but he's definitely my rose for just being through all he's been through and just living life
together.
And,
yeah.
So that is my rose for sure. My thorn, aside from the fact that I'm realizing that I'm like,
I was going to say that you're 10 years out of college.
Well, no. 10 years since I started college.
Oh, sorry. Don't want to age it too much.
Okay, I graduated in 2018. Okay.
Oh my God. I mean,
I
we're
feel
old.
so old.
I was just going to say, Ellie, God.
Don't forget.
2018.
Oh my God.
I'm not even saying mine. I'm not even close.
Yeah, do you guys? I'm only 28. Is that weird?
Jesus. Yeah.
Well, literally everyone thinks
I'm older than everybody.
Than
I just had my 40th.
I'm right behind you, Jess. So.
I mean,
somehow Ellie's thorn has become her rose that she's not as old as us.
She's going, oh, this doesn't sound so bad.
This isn't so bad.
No, it's just like it's getting to the point now where, so I don't know if it's because, and this is my thorn, and I think it's because like I've worked from home like pretty much my entire professional career, right? So I've always I've had, Zoom calls before COVID and things like that, but I haven't actually worked in like the public in a retail type setting. So it is really strange for me to interact with children now because I literally don't understand what they're saying. Like, they say all these things that I was like, I thought I was hip. I thought I was with it, and I'm not. Like, they say these things, and they're like, goodness. I'm like, what does that mean? And so, like, that is my my thorn, because I have realized
you're not hip anymore.
That I am now out of the generation that, like, knows what the heck people are saying. So that's kind of terrifying for me when, like, you know, teenagers will be like, oh yeah, this book is fire. And I'm like, what?
That's so great.
I'm like, what does this mean? So that's
I haven't known what any of that meant for forever.
I know. Yeah. I'm people's boss, a boss now, and they talk to me like that, and I'm just like, okay. No.
Not even. No, yeah. I think I just look with the most strange face, and then they just stop and have to re-explain it because I just don't even know what to say.
Exactly.
I mean, I was lucky that, like, my younger sister helped me out a lot when, like, a lot of the things were coming up as I was kind of getting out of it. But now I don't know any of it. And so that's, like, you know, and I'm, like, the oldest person at, like, work, right? Because I work with, like, a lot of, like, you know, 20-year-olds and, like can't even drink yet, right? And so, like, they say things and I'm like, what are you talking about?
So funny.
That's nerve-wracking, and I guess a thorn. I mean, I like start like smiling now in the mirror, and I'm like, hi, I've got these like creases, and I'm like, oh my God, like, is this what it means? So anyway, I'm not super worried about it, not yet, but yeah, I'm starting to feel that I'm actually that close to 30. So.
You're losing your edge, Ellie. It's okay. It's the rite of passage. It's totally fine. You're gonna be fine.
I'm like, oh gosh.
It happens to the best of us, okay? Life is better on the other side, I swear, because you don't care.
Okay, yeah. I mean, all I'm thinking is I'm still a ways off from menopause. That's all. I just don't want to be near.
Oh my God, Ellie.
I don't want to be near menopause yet, okay?
You're not even close.
God, you're not even close.
Listen.
You're 28 years old. Oh
listen,
my God.
My mom was very open. My mom was very open, I'm sure you guys can realize, about the struggles of menopause. And so I literally, like, fear that.
This is like you're going to die moment.
Oh, I'm like, oh my God, I never want to get menopause.
Oh my goodness, I am dying.
All right, so how about you, Justine?
My
mental crisis.
If your thorn is not that you're near menopause, I'm dead.
Well, you know, I guess I'm nearer to menopause than Ellie is. So my clock is ticking, guys.
Oh, I'm dead.
That was something.
You know, it's all funny to see one of those hot flashes. Okay.
Okay. All right. On the other end of that spectrum, so my rose is that I got to do like back-to-back holiday trips. I'm very lucky that I feel very blessed that I was able to see all of my family for Christmas. Like Alex and I went to Hawaii with his family, like on Christmas through Christmas. We went to Kona, the island of Kona, and had a wonderful time with his brothers and his parents and all the grandkids who were awesome. But I feel like Ellie, while we were in Kona, one of my nieces, she's 9 years old, would like eat candy and then have a anxiety meltdown thinking that she was going to get diabetes and would like freak out, cry. And we'd have to sit and tell, like, because Alex and I are the cool aunt and uncle who don't have kids. So all the kids thought we were cool. We would have to explain to her like what real diabetes looks like. And we just diagnosed Alex with diabetes this whole trip. So anytime she freaked out thinking she was getting diabetes, we were like, look at Alex's broken foot. That's because he has diabetes, Willa. You don't have diabetes. But I feel like that is the opposite end of your menopause spectrum here.
Right.
Like you were the kid worried about the like something that's not going to affect you for 25 years, Ellie.
For real.
You're funny. But anyways, that was my rose. We had a lovely time in Hawaii, and then we were home for literally 4 days, and then we went to Park City with my family. And my brother and his wife had a baby this past year, and it was their first time for their baby seeing snow. It was nice. It felt like insane at the time, like, flying.
How are
so
we going to
much,
do all
traveling.
this?
Yeah. Managing like our life in between, like the house, the animals, yada yada. But it was worth it. We had a really great time with everybody. It was very nice. And
probably
somehow
crazy too, because you went from like the warmest place to like the mountains and snow.
I know. And like so far west, like I lived in Florida and we went all the way to Hawaii and home, and then all the way to Utah and home. It was a lot. But I was very meticulous in planning when we were getting our fall/wintertime vaccines. And normally I get like COVID and flu in October, but I made us wait because I'm like, we need peak protection.
Yeah.
We're going to be in the airports.
Yeah.
Back to back through Christmas. And it worked out. None of us got
smart.
sick. It's crazy. So
that's really smart.
I don't know how I got lucky, but because, going through LAX and Christmas was nuts, just as crazy as you could imagine. And somehow we made it. So yeah, that's my rose. My thorn, I'm going to sound like a weenie, but it's cold. Mm-hmm. Like I literally wore my ski clothes to the barn today. I'm tired of being cold. I go on vacation to be cold. I don't want to be cold here at home. So whatever this winter storm is, it needs to like shoo and get out of here. I'm ready for it to be 70 degrees in January, like it's supposed to be in Florida. So I'm waiting for that. That is my thorn. Because it's raining here like crazy all week with this weather, like this gloomy,
I've heard
damp.
It's weird raining.
I know. I'm so over it. So like I hate being cold at the barn, and I feel like I can't get, like my horse had all this time off and I'm trying to get him going again. And I guess my double thorn is I feel like anytime I make plans, like I sent in entries for a horse show that's like 2 weeks from now. And I'm like, now I got to get going if I'm going to, like it's very low level. I'm just trying to get him out like to kick around a little bit. But it's like, I got to be able to walk, trot, canter in a circle. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that if it keeps raining and it's this cold.
Might not be able to make it outside.
I know. I'm like, I need to do the bare minimum here. And I'm afraid I'm not going to meet that bar.
Right.
Like, man, like, do I just eat the cost of the little schooling horse show? So we'll see. To be determined, but we'll see. All right, guys. So we got a mailbag from Jennifer. She posted this question in the Facebook group, which I think would be a good one for all of us to answer. So Jennifer has a horse who is recovering from a ligament strain near his hind fetlock, and he's just very slowly starting to get back into riding, but she is terrified of him hurting himself again. And she wants to do everything she can to prevent that from happening. So she was looking for recommendations on boots. Should she use hind boots? Should she go with polos? So Jess, why don't you go first? Because I know Ellie and I have thoughts.
So for me, I don't know about any boots or anything. I mean, I would stick basically with polos would be the only thing. But my one piece of advice would be as much therapy as you can get hold of, whether it's a laser or any kind of therapeutic use. I would hit them as hard as possible because I think that's going to be the biggest success of how to bring them back from an injury.
Yeah, I like that advice. I mean, Ellie, what do you think?
No boots.
Yeah.
No polos.
Yep.
No,
it's all a lie. No,
it is. And it's crazy because we all have been taught to wear the boots all the time. But yeah,
there's no boots that are going to help that.
No. And all it's going to do is heat up the leg. Like that's just all it's going to do is heat up the leg. And I know it's really hard because we look at their bare naked legs and go, I need to fix this. I need to help him. I need to give him support. But it's all a myth. Unless you're jumping cross country and they're going to knock their legs on a big, heavy obstacle, there's no reason for him to be in a boot. And so like I bought all of the things you're not supposed to buy for these types of injuries. I bought boots that were marketed as like, they had little wedges that went under the pastern to like support the ligaments. That's all a crock of BS. Yeah. So
true.
Nope. No.
I totally understand what you're saying, but yes, a better investment would be good ice boots, maybe some red light therapy, MagnaWave,
Yes.
any of those types of
Yes.
things that will help keep your horse feeling good. I'm sure if your vet hasn't recommended it already, Shockwave, any of those types of vet prescribed therapies to help the healing process move along are more worth your investment in your time than boots. The other thing
100%.
for you would be like, think about where you're going to ride your horse or where your horse is going to be turned out. The footing is really important after a horse has had a tear or at risk of a strain. Be really like, I am someone who's very mindful of footing now. Like, you do not want to ride your horse in deep footing. You don't
Nope.
want to ride your horse on lumpy footing, on anything where your horse can't like really get a good feel of the ground underneath himself. So that's my advice. Ellie, what were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I remember when I did the EAP with Julie Winkle, I'll never forget it because I was one who always had my boots front and back every ride, always. And I went in for the first, it was a week long and the first day was flat. And she said, do not put boots on your horse.
Yeah, I mean, like if a trainer said that to me when I was young too, that would have totally blown my mind. So I get it. But if you have a question for us and you want us to answer it on the air, you can always send us an email by going to justine@heelsdownmedia.com. Or you should join our Facebook group, which is where Jennifer posed this question. It's really fun. We have all kinds of discussions there, and there's nothing that's off limits. You can search for us by typing Heels Down Happy Hour Podcast Lounge in the Facebook search bar. And if you want to hear more from us, check out Heels Down Mag for the latest news and follow us online. We're at Heels Down Happy Hour on Instagram and at Heels Down Mag on Facebook. And if you love our show, please give us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We want to say thank you to our sponsors this week, EcoGold. And that's a wrap, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.